Getting metal detectors for schools inside Tennessee's poorest counties. What's holding back the bill seeing support from both parties?
Heavy rain, flooding, and the threat for severe weather when you need to be weather aware.
Watching creeks and rivers. The steps already underway as the mid-state braces for more rain. Fox 17 News investigates the foster system in Tennessee. Why one foster mom says she felt abandoned by the system, not allowed to fly, or inside some government buildings. How Tennessee is helping you get a real ID ahead of the deadline. Fox 17 News at 9 starts now.
Middle Tennessee's only primetime news. This is Fox 17 News at 9, your Code Red station.
We start with breaking news tonight involving the deadly robbery car crash in Green Hills last week. Well, tonight, Metro Police detectives are looking for this man. They say Genesis Denton is the victim in the crime. Officers say two men targeted the man when he walked out of the Green Hills Mall with bags from a high-end store. Police say Denton took off after the robbery and made no effort to contact them. The car that police say that the crooks used later crashed along I-65 in nearby Berry Hill. Emmanuel Esley, the driver of the Tesla, died of a gunshot wound. The man that police call his accomplice, Omari Moore, is now behind bars facing charges. Both suspects have a lengthy criminal record. You can dig deeper into their background. Just go to fox17.com and search Green Hills. Now to crisis in the classroom and the mission to keep our children safe. Weeks after a gunman killed a fellow student inside Antioch High School, Metro approved a plan to put metal detectors in every high school. But what about Tennessee's poorest counties? There's a new bill to take care of them too. A similar plan passed last year, putting metal detectors in all schools, but it couldn't get the funding. Fox 17 News' Dennis Ferrier breaking down the new plan.
Crazy, right? A bill passes and doesn't become law. What happened? What is the difference between last year's bill and this year's bill? Let's answer those questions. The Protecting Tennessee Schools and Events Act would allow 40 of the poorest counties in Tennessee to get state-of-the-art portable metal detectors with AI weapons detection for a great price. The idea would be each of these county sheriff's departments could get 3 of these portable detectors for a discount of $16,000 each. Bill's sponsor, Representative Rush Bricken, says the bill's very popular with his colleagues, that no one wants to just keep talking about this stuff. They want to do something.
There's really no opposition. They think it's a great idea. We just got to find the money for it. So I've not gotten any really negative. There might be some that says we need to bring this statewide, just instead of the 40 at-risk distressed counties.
Just 3 portable metal detectors per county may not sound like a lot, but school safety advocate and metal detector expert Paul Capu says portability multiplies these metal detectors.
You're not hindered by something that has to be attached to the ground at the door of the school, right? You can move it from this school, you can move it to another school, you can move it to an after-school event, through a football game, or to a graduation.
The idea is to use the metal detector wherever the threat comes. It isn't a cure-all, but it's so much better than nothing.
A lot of these counties lag behind the other counties that have resources, and they usually have nothing. And to be able to give them something is a great, great first step in the right direction.
The bill actually passed last year, but it provided 3 metal detectors in all 95 Tennessee counties. So the cost was $7 million, and the committee that funds these kinds of bills didn't fund it. It died. This bill this year is different. It provides 3 metal detectors, but only to the 40 poorest counties in Tennessee, brings the cost down to $1.9 million. $1.9 million in a $60 billion budget, not much, especially if you save a life.
You can't put a price on it at all. If we have an event in one of these counties, not offered some solution, that's on us. So hopefully my fellow legislators will get behind it. Certainly hope the governor and the administration will get behind this legislation, because it really is needed. I hate to say it almost should be a no-brainer, but I found up here, things you think will fly through and get funded sometimes don't.
So instead of just watching whether this bill passes or not, we will be watching to see if it gets financed. Finance, Ways and Means, and the governor will stay on top of this. The stakes are high. I'm Dennis Ferrier, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
In tonight's Fox 17 News viewer poll, we want to know what you think. Should metal detectors be required in all Tennessee high schools? This poll is live right now, and the results coming in real time on your screen. Over 200 people voting on this. 87.1% of respondents say yes, metal detectors should be required in all Tennessee high schools. 12.9% say no. Still time to cast your vote. Just scan the QR code there on your screen. It'll take you over to our X page. You can also find it by our handle, which is @Fox Nashville, and we'll show you updated poll results here tonight on Fox 17 News at 10. Fox 17 News has been pressing school leaders for safety improvements for years. You can see all of our reporting on the Fox Nashville YouTube channel. Crisis in the Classroom is Fox 17 News' commitment to exposing problems in our schools and finding solutions. You can send us your story ideas through email at news@fox17.com. You can also call our tip line, 615-266-4149.
You just lose everything. It's not picking and choosing, you lose everything.
Memories of devastating flooding damage still haunt some Tennesseans as we look ahead to this weekend when we're facing the chance of heavy rainfall and a moderate risk for flooding. Tonight, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is bracing for potential flooding. Fox 17 News' Madeline Nolan is along the Cumberland River in Nashville, where preparations are already underway.
The Cumberland River is sitting higher than its normal 17 to 18 feet this time of the year, and as you can tell from this gauge, it's sitting at 27 feet, and the water is covering an area where it's not normally covering, and the Army Corps of Engineers is actually expecting it to rise even more as we are expected to get more rainfall this weekend. But there are some areas that they just cannot regulate, and that is what is of concern.
We're expecting several inches, 3 to 4, even up to 5 inches of rain on Saturday, which has absolutely got our attention shifted toward that.
Over the next few days, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will determine whether to move into 24/7 operations, but they've already started preparing for the upcoming rains that could impact Nashville's rivers, lakes, and dams.
At this time, we're having to deal with the rainfall we just got, which was a couple inches of rain. Which in and of itself isn't a problem, but the problem can be escalated by the back-to-back events.
The Army Corps will be releasing 30 to 40,000 cubic feet of water per second from dams across Middle Tennessee. Now, to put that into perspective, that's enough to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool in about 4 seconds.
We have a very high degree of control over the flow in Nashville and ability to shut off that flow. However, there is still many thousands of square miles of unregulated streams and creeks.
While the Army Corps can control rivers and dams, smaller waterways like Browns Creek and Mill Creek cannot be regulated, making them more vulnerable to flooding.
You just lose everything. It's not picking and choosing, you lose everything.
Carrie Ann Fuller knows that risk all too well. Her home on Curry Road in South Nashville filled with 5 feet of water after Mill Creek flooded the area in 2021.
I looked out the window and there was a car floating down the street with a woman screaming in it, and that's how I became aware that my house was full of water.
Since that flood, she says that several homes in the area have been demolished, but Fuller's was sold. Now she warns that danger is still very real. With more rain on the way, officials say that now is the time to start preparing. You can clean out those gutters, the culverts, and then also making sure that you have that flood plan in place. In Nashville, I'm Madeline Nolan, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Yeah, it brings back a lot of memories, Katie, so we certainly need to be vigilant this weekend.
Saturday is going to be a pretty messy day, I'm afraid, and flooding does look to be the main threat for us here. Widespread 3 to 5 inches of rain looks possible, and we could easily see some higher amounts. And keep in mind, it's only Wednesday, so we may have to adjust the forecast, especially where those heavy pockets decide to set up. There's still time for a shift in that track. But the concern for flooding definitely continues to rise. The confidence is high that we're going to find some high impacts from flooding, but more of a medium-low confidence as to exactly where that is. Still a few days out, so we'll be looking looking at that forecast and making changes as needed. Evening storm risk for us as well. To add insult to injury, we're talking about the potential for some strong thunderstorms, but a moderate risk for flash flooding here. It does include 2/3 of the viewing area. So case in point, a pretty active day for Saturday, something you'll want to stay aware of throughout the day. Radar this evening continues to show some heavy rain that's now clearing. Some isolated showers, though, will continue, I'd say, for another few hours before we start to see things clear from west to east. And you can see that is due to the front pushing through. Severe weather has stayed well south of us as expected for tonight. So the rain continues this evening. It'll clear after midnight tonight. We look for a chilly evening ahead with temperatures near the freezing mark. We'll talk more about timing, more about impacts for Saturday. That coming up in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast. Well, a foster mother sounding the alarm, her troubling experiences with DCS. And grocery and gas costs on the rise. What's fueling the price hike?
It was very disheartening to try to be doing the right thing for the kids and then to be met with just nothing.
A Springfield foster mother feels that the department workers failed in their duties, resulting in a misunderstanding and dishonesty towards her foster children. Fox 17 News has done dozens of stories highlighting the challenges facing the Department of Children's Services, those responsible with protecting our most vulnerable children. Fox 17 News' Amanda Chin sitting down with this Springfield mother who's frustrated with how the state handled her foster case.
Taking in foster children can be rewarding, but it can also be challenging. This foster mother hoped to receive support, care, and honesty from DCS employees, but she says that did not happen. Casey McDonald used to work at a hospital. She'd see babies entering foster care with no place to go. That inspired her to become a foster mom.
The kids have never been an issue. It's more working with the system, I think, that's hard.
In February of 2022, McDonald received a 3-week-old baby and an 11-month-old. But from the start, McDonald says the caseworker wouldn't come for months at a time, and the children's attorney was not present.
So if I had a reason of concern, which I did multiple times, if I reached out to him, he never responded, never showed up to court when we went. One time, I think, in the 16 months that I had him, did he show up to court. So he did not know the children and didn't care about my concerns.
Jenny Hall is an adoption lawyer in Nashville who regularly works with foster families. She says the children's attorney has a really important job of knowing the child, understanding their circumstances, and ensuring they're in a safe and stable environment.
That could have really substantial impact on how the child is being cared for. And, you know, if the department is not following up with the foster family and the guardian ad litem is not following up with the foster family, there's really no way to advocate for that child.
McDonald says the caseworker at the Department of Children's Services told her this would be an adoption case. That means these children would most likely be adopted instead of reunifying with the biological parents.
It does change your mindset of, you know, this is going to be forever. And then when it's not, it's hard.
Through text, the DCS caseworker claimed to McDonald the department filed for termination of parental rights, also known as TPR.
We were told up front that TPR, the termination of parental rights, were already being filed that first month. And then by the end of the year, in December, we found out that was not true.
Plus, the biological mom already had her rights terminated for another one of her children during that same time. Tennessee Code 371188 states, any child that is born to a parent from whose custody a child has previously been removed for being dependent or neglected, and the child who was previously removed is in the custody of the Department of Children's Services, may be dependent or neglected, and that is in the best interest of both children that the child's birth be brought to the court's attention. Since DCS failed to actually file the TPR, that led McDonald to file her own after having the children for a whole year.
The frustration comes when a year or 2 or 3 passes and the kid is still in limbo and the biological parents have not completed the tasks on the permanency plan.
But after going to court and speaking with the biological mother, McDonald was shocked at what she found out next. McDonald uncovered the biological mom had been making reasonable efforts to get clean. She says she had even completed rehab.
It seemed like DCS was trying to work against me and the biological mom having a relationship and really figuring this out.
That's when McDonald immediately dropped her TPR. McDonald says the children are home and the parents are still clean and have turned their lives around. But she believes DCS handled this entire case very badly. She wishes leaders at DCS took foster parent concerns more seriously.
Nothing was done correctly, and we tried to go up the ladder to the ombudsman and to multiple state people in DCS and outside of DCS, and got no responses.
Do you think that sometimes the system is not looking out for the best interests of the children?
Absolutely.
DCS, like always, says the department cannot comment on any specific cases.
McDonald says she's now built a very good relationship with the biological parents and still gets to see the children quite often. She hopes the chaos of her situation with the Department of Children's Services leads to change. Reporting in the studio, I'm Amanda Chin, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Well, we take a look here from Broadway, and we are starting with a soggy night here. We've had the rain all day, and it's still falling in certain spots. The good news is, as we head through the overnight, we will begin to dry out, and that'll be around for a couple of days. So we have an ice break before we need to prepare for Saturday. Heavy rain still expected, and right now we're expecting anywhere between 3 to 5 inches. We could find some locally heavier amounts possible, but it's looking like at this time those higher totals, 4 and 5 inches, could be just north and west of Nashville. But flooding is going to be a big concern for us as we head through Saturday afternoon and into Saturday evening. Saturday evening as well, the potential for a few strong thunderstorms will exist right now, and I would say as we get closer to Saturday, the bigger severe weather threat will stay south of us, but we're on the northern edge of this, especially along and south of 40, and we need to keep an eye on it. So I would bet that we're looking at maybe a level 1 or maybe a level 2 in our southern counties for Saturday. Damaging wind, hail, and a few tornadoes within the main line. It's all going to depend on how far north those severe weather ingredients can get. There's a chance that we may not see much severe weather at all. That's why we're pushing the flooding threat. That is our main concern for Saturday. Big rain chance coming in for the weekend. It'll dry out. Will dry out for Saturday, or Sunday, I should say, second half of the day on Sunday. Maybe a few flurries mixed in with the rain clearing on Sunday morning, but nothing to be concerned with. Temperatures tomorrow are going to be cold. We are dry, and I think we keep a lot of cloud cover around, especially for the beginning of the morning. So let's get right into Saturday here. Saturday morning, we are looking at scattered rain. Heavy rain will develop and then train over the same locations. That will likely happen after noon. And notice that we continue to see a lot of rain over the same places here. That's what's going to be troublesome for us when it comes to that threat for flash flooding. Remember, flash flooding is where we see a quick rise in water and you have a little time to act. Here's Saturday evening around 6. This will be about the time that we need to keep an eye on the weather for severe thunderstorms. And right now, I would put our bigger severe concern to be south of 40 here, because models are sort of hinting at less rain to the south, which could keep things a little more unstable for those in our southern counties, which would mean the better threats for severe weather would be in our southern counties. Things again could change between now and Saturday. Saturday, 8 o'clock, you can see still fairly active as it shifts more toward the plateau after midnight, going into early Sunday morning. Our threats will be done with here, and then there's a little bit of light snow coming in for early Sunday, but again, not going to be a problem as far as any winter impacts go. We'll talk more about ways that you can prepare ahead of the threat for heavy rainfall coming up in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast.
Groceries and gas costing you more than this time last year. What's causing prices to go up? And a staple of Valentine's Day, how much more chocolate will cost you this year as well? Well, in the economy tonight, inflation is climbing, hitting 3% last month for the first time since last summer. And a new Labor Department report shows 2.9% increase in the consumer price index from December of last year through January. The high cost of gas and groceries remain a top concern for many Americans.
I have to cut back. I cut back on a lot of stuff because before I usually, every once in a while I'll do some impulse buy, but I don't do impulse buys anymore. I can't afford to do impulse buys, so I just come out and get what I need.
Well, reducing prices that Americans are paying for groceries and gas, one of President Trump's major promises in his re-election campaign to win the White House. The White House says that the president is making steps to curb inflation.
As for tackling inflation and interest rates, the president has made his position on this very clear. He wants interest rates to be lower, he wants inflation to be lower, and he believes that the whole of government economic approach that this administration is taking will result in lower inflation.
Economists are concerned that President Trump increasing tariffs will drive costs even higher. Well, you have to maybe dig a little deeper in your wallet this year to buy chocolates for your sweetheart this Valentine's Day. Experts say prices are up 10 to 20% over last year. The price of cocoa has more than doubled since the start of 2024, and it hit a record high in December. The cost of manufacturing chocolate has gone up more than 167% just in the last 2 years, prompting retailers to raise prices. Well, getting closer to an answer, the evidence the jury is going over in the case of a mother accused of killing her own infant daughter. And a reopening years in the making, the changes that you'll find in what once was Nashville's biggest homeless camp. And the clock is ticking, what you won't be able to do without a real ID. In Operation Crime and Justice, the fate of an East Tennessee woman on trial for murder and the death of her baby daughter is now in the hands of a jury. 23-year-old Megan Boswell faces over a dozen charges in the death of her 15-month-old daughter, Evelyn. She was found dead in a trash can on Boswell's father's property in Sullivan County back in 2020. The defense and the prosecution gave closing arguments today, and emotions ran high.
She can't face the truth about what she's done. She can't face that truth. She can't look at that picture. I'm not going to put it back up there for you. She can't face what she's done to that child. Discarding her like a piece of garbage.
You can't judge someone for how they grieve. You don't know what goes through their head. You don't know what they were raised with. I've never lost a child. I hope none of you ever have. But how am I to tell someone when they lose their child how they grieve?
Boswell pleaded not guilty in her daughter's death. The jury has gone home for the night and will resume deliberations in the morning. Now to the high cost of homelessness. After being closed for 2 years and over $1 million spent on the cleanup, Brookmead Park is set to reopen tomorrow. The park was home to one of Nashville's largest homeless camps. Fox 17 News' Johnny Maffey has the latest.
No residents walking through these gates at Brookmead Park for over 2 years, but the complaints have been filing into Metro Parks for more than 10 years about everything here. Now the park's set to open up Thursday, and crews are putting the finishing touches on today. West Nashville residents were calling for not just the cleanup, but paved trails, bathrooms, and some other things. Metro Parks director says the $1 million covered cleanup, security cameras, construction, and other remediation. And neighbors have told Fox 17 they're frustrated at the lack of improvements beyond the cleanup. The park's set to open up Thursday at 11 a.m. In Nashville, Johnny Maffey, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Well, looking ahead, the U.S. has given Americans 20 years to obtain compliancy with the Real ID Act of 2005, and we are quickly approaching the May 7th deadline. After that, you will need a Real ID with that notable star in the upper right-hand corner to board commercial flights or to enter certain federal buildings, military bases, and nuclear power plants. Joining us now is Homeland Security Assistant Commissioner Russell Shoup. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So how is the Real ID different than a regular driver's license, and why is it necessary to have all Americans switch over to this new system?
So the Real ID is basically essential. Like, as you mentioned, if you're going to fly commercially starting May 7th, or if you're going to enter certain federal buildings, military bases, or nuclear power plants. However, if you have a valid passport or a federally issued photo ID, you can utilize those to do those same activities. However, it's easier once you get the Tennessee Real ID to travel commercially.
Well, have most people in Tennessee updated their license and gotten this Real ID by now?
Currently, it's about 49% that have done that. We started issuing Real ID in July of 2019, and a lot of individuals have taken advantage of that. We have about 1.9 million people that have decided to not get a Real ID for various reasons, and then there's about 1,200,000 individuals that still are on their legacy credential, and they will need to make a decision whether they're going to get Real ID or not.
Okay, so just to be clear, if you have an upcoming flight after May and you still haven't gotten this Real ID, will they not let you board, or can you bring in other supporting documents, or is this just going to wreck your travel plans?
If you have a valid passport, you can certainly still fly commercially, but you'll have to have a valid passport or a federally issued photo ID. Other than that, you will need a Real ID beginning May 7th if you're wanting to fly commercially.
So after May 7th, your driver's license, is that still valid if you haven't switched over to the Real ID?
Correct. So your driver's license is still valid until the expiration date. The only things you won't be allowed to do is the activities we've indicated. So flying commercially is really what would affect most individuals.
All right, a good heads up there, Russell Shoup. Thank you so much for taking the time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
As we head into this weekend, especially on Saturday, one thing that we're going to closely be watching is the chance for flooding. There's also a chance for severe weather, too. We'll get into more details on that, though, the closer that we get. Back to the flooding, though. Believe it or not, on average, more deaths occur from flooding than any other thunderstorm-related hazard, such as tornadoes or lightning. This is the 10-year average right here, 103 deaths across the country, 30-year average, 88 deaths across the country. And more than half of all of those flood-related deaths happen when someone is just trying to drive their vehicle through hazardous floodwater. So a lot of these are actually preventable, and it's why we always say that it's best to just go ahead and find you a different route, because you can't always gauge exactly how deep the water actually is. All it takes is just 6 inches of fast-moving water to knock over an adult. It only takes 12 inches of rushing water to carry away most cars, and just 2 feet of rushing water to carry away SUVs or trucks. When it comes to watches and warnings, just remember that a watch means that conditions are favorable in that area for something like flooding to occur, and a warning means that it is happening or is imminent.
And the Great American Race is almost over. The driver in the best position going into the Daytona 500 right here on Fox 17.
The National Hockey League switching things up this year, and instead of an all-star game, they created the Four Nations Face-Off. It's a tournament featuring 92 NHL players from 4 different countries, including 3 Nashville Predators. Preds forwards Philip Forsberg and Gus Nyquist representing Team Sweden tonight in the first game of the Four Nations Face-Off, while Preds goaltender UC Saros will be playing tomorrow with Team Jacksonville Jaguars still looking for a general manager, and according to NFL insider Jordan Schultz, the team will be interviewing former Titans general manager John Robinson for the vacancy. Robinson was the Titans GM from 2016 through most of 2022 before he was fired mid-season. He was not with any other NFL team the previous 2 years. Well, the Great American Race is almost here. The Daytona 500 set for this Sunday on Fox 17. And since qualifying is wrapping up not too long ago, we already know the drivers who will have the biggest advantage. Chase Briscoe had the fastest single car qualifying time tonight, so he is on the pole for Sunday. Behind him is Austin Cindric, who was second in qualifying. Jimmy Johnson and Martin Truex Jr. also secured their spots in Daytona 500 via their qualifying times as the top 2 fastest non-chartered entries. Johnson is continuing to run part-time entry with Legacy Motor Club and is looking forward to another shot at the Great American Race.
So thrilled. Oh my gosh. Very, very proud of everybody at Legacy Motor Club and the effort they put into this car and the evolution we've been on through the end of 24 to now. So very excited. Thankful to have Carvana on board. Shaq, we're in the big show, buddy. It's going to be a lot of fun, so I'm thrilled.
The final two open spots in the 500 field will be decided in tomorrow night's duel races. The duels will kick off at 6 p.m. Central tomorrow night. Don't forget, you can catch the big race this Sunday, 1:30 Central on Fox 17. Jill Jelnick, Fox 17 Sports, your Code Red station.
Live look from Metro Center. Still a dreary night out there as showers continue to push through as a front makes its way through the area. That means colder air on the way for tomorrow, but at least drier weather. We'll talk more about Saturday's flood threat coming up.
And a controversial bill signed into law, what you can expect from Tennessee's voucher plan.
Students continue to struggle in the classroom. I'm Jeff Harris in Washington. Coming up, the new report detailing why the problem is getting worse and which areas are seeing some improvement.
What an important day for these young people and the tens of thousands that they represent.
Not a crisis in the classroom as Tennessee's voucher bill is now law. Governor Bill Lee joined by students at the state capitol for the signing. It gives 20,000 students about $7,000 each in tax money to attend private schools across the state. The governor pushing for years to see this plan pass.
Today, we put in place a piece of legislation that will change the future of Tennessee forever because it changes the trajectory of the next generation of Tennesseans.
Critics of the legislation say it benefits the upper class. Republicans say no public schools will lose funding if a student chooses to transfer out of a public school to benefit from a private school voucher. President Trump has championed school vouchers across the country. Fox 17 News has been tracking the school voucher debate for years. You can see all of our reporting on fox17.com, and we'll continue to follow the rollout of this new legislation in Tennessee classrooms. And continuing with crisis in the classroom, students across the country are half a grade level behind pre-pandemic achievement levels in both math and reading. That's according to a new report. Fox 17 News' Jeff Harris takes a closer look at what's behind students' poor performance.
The Education Recovery Report released on Tuesday combines results from the nation's report card and state test scores. While it did find that students are half a grade level behind pre-pandemic levels, experts say it wasn't all bad. Jennifer Steele, an education expert, tells us the report released today highlights some of what was found in the nation's report card last month.
No state has really recovered to pre-pandemic achievement levels.
While the report found students are half a grade level behind pre-pandemic levels in math and reading, Steele says the results showed some have started to recover.
The quartile of students that does seem to have bounced back is students from higher income households.
Kristen Sajewski and Douglas Harris, also education experts, say while there is no easy fix, it starts in the classroom, getting teachers the resources they need and holding schools accountable.
There's a larger issue here going on, and that's really what we're doing with kids when we have them in school.
There's just not as much focus on that anymore, not as much focus on basic achievement and on holding schools accountable.
Plus, Sajewski says some states have started to make adjustments, moving away from independent practice time and into a more hands-on approach.
Phonics instruction, along with vocabulary, along with systematic engagement with print, that really is teacher fostered, teacher developed.
Now, according to the report, Louisiana is the only state that showed improvements in both math and reading. Chronic absenteeism is improving as well, falling 2 points in the states with data through the spring of 2024. I'm Jeff Harris reporting from Washington.
Kind of a rainy week, and we're not to the worst of it yet.
No, Saturday is going to be a pretty busy day. We're already looking at forecasted rivers forecasted to rise above action stage, some of our area rivers. Creeks and streams will also be something to keep an eye on, along with flash flooding. And that'll be due to the amount of rain that we get on Saturday, which again should be around 3 to 5 inches. It's already on top of saturated ground. These are radar estimated totals from what we've seen over the past 2 days. So anywhere between 1 to 2, even 3 inches of rain, close to 4 in our southern counties, has already been observed, and we're going to add an additional 3 to 5 inches as we head towards Saturday. So again, flooding continues to be our main focus for Saturday afternoon and evening. Metro Center, nice and wet out there. We've had some showers move through. I was watching our Springfield camera. Can't see it as much now, but they did have a shower pass by just moments ago. There you can see it on radar. So I saw that on radar. So that is the front as it works its way out of the I-65 corridor, moving in, I should say. But once that passes through, our shower chances are going to start to drop off considerably, with the exception of a few drizzly showers through about midnight or so, and then we should start to see things dry out. I do think we keep skies cloudy for the day on Thursday. And you notice for the morning here, mostly cloudy skies. The forecast, also temperatures much cooler. Front coming through tonight. It is going to drop our numbers close to freezing for tomorrow, but will be above freezing, which shouldn't be a concern as far as anything being real icy in the morning. Valentine's Day is going to be a good one of the better days this week. Fortunately, we'll be right around freezing at the start of the day and should top off in those upper 40s. But once again, will be Saturday that we're mostly concerned with. This is one of our in-house models just showing how much rain we could potentially see. I think some of these numbers are on the low side, but I like the trend here, which is what I want to show you, where we're looking at more of that rain chance to the west of I-65. Still a very good amount of rainfall east, but not quite as much as what we may see west towards Dickson, up to Clarksville, and possibly even Nashville. That swath of heavy rain may shift one way or another. A reminder, a difference between flooding and flash flooding. We may see both on Saturday. Flooding is going to be a result of all of the rain we've had over the past 2 days, in addition to the rain on Saturday. Rivers, creeks, and streams slowly on the rise, and that will continue through the weekend into next week. Flash flooding is something that needs immediate action. It's where we have a quick rise in water and can become life-threatening. So that's due to the fact that we've got a lot of rain coming in a short amount of time. Next several days, temperatures kind of all around here. Look at a high near 64 on Saturday.
2 pilots rescued by a fishing boat. The questions that remain after their jet went down. And the site that once held terror suspects used for immigrants, the new lawsuit targeting the president's plan. New tonight, a military plane crash forces 2 pilots to eject before it plummets into the San Diego Bay in California this morning. Both Navy pilots on board the jet were rescued by a fishing vessel after being in the water for about a minute. They are reported to be in stable condition tonight. No word on what caused the jet to go down. And an update tonight on the plane crash on a runway in Arizona. One of the planes involved is owned by Vince Neil of the rock band Motley Crue. It's also registered here in Tennessee. And tonight we're learning that the plane's landing gear failed, causing the private jet to skid off the runway and crash into a parked plane on Monday. 1 person died. Neil's girlfriend and 2 other people inside the plane were hurt in the crash. Neil was not on board. Well, new tonight, the American Civil Liberties Union suing the Trump administration over undocumented immigrants taken to Guantanamo Bay. Last week, the U.S. started using military aircraft to transport migrants to the military base in Cuba. Immigration advocates say the migrants are being detained without legal representation, and they're calling for the immediate face-to-face access to them. Hotspots in Music City, the mid-state restaurants named among the top in the country. Hey, get this, some Nashville restaurants are among the top 100 places to eat across the country. We made the list, and that's according to Yelp. Deg Thai comes in at number 28 on the list. The Thai restaurant has 2 locations in Nashville. Jishan ranks 49th on the list. The Hillsboro Village Eatery serves up Indian food favorites, and another Indian restaurant, Sindor, makes it to number 55 on the list. You can find them out by the airport. I haven't been to any of those.
I have not either, but I'm putting them on my list.
Yeah?
Yeah, really good.
Yeah. Well, good shout out to them.